motivation and truth, that's the deal. Be authentic, be bold, let your light shine bright. Together we'll grow, heal, and keep it 1000% real. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, you want space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Serenity, where we keep it real. Motivation and truth, that's the deal. Be authentic, be bold, let your light shine bright. Together we'll grow, heal, and keep it 1000% real. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in
Welcome,
all
everybody,
you
to
do.
Serenity Cast.
Serenity, your
I'm
space
in.
to thrive.
Thank
Authentic
you.
living keeps dreams alive. Serenity, be you, stay true. Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive.
Okay, guys, welcome to Serenity Podcast. And I want to thank everybody for agreeing to be a guest today. I'm excited about the show and the guests that I have on here, and also the topic that we're going to be talking about. What we're going to do first is I'm going to call on you guys, and I want you to introduce yourself. And if you have businesses, please tell us about your businesses so the audience can be aware of what you're doing. Now, Serenity Podcast is also in partnership with Prosperity Podcast. And I want you guys to go to YouTube and like the page. Also, don't feel free to subscribe to the page. Now, let's kick everything off. I want everybody to know I got a lot of family on here tonight. Okay. I got Antoine Spearman. We've been together. Well, we grew up together. We watched each other have kids. We're family. We're cousins. Love you, cuz. Why don't you introduce yourself to people, Mr. Antoine, and tell them what you're doing?
Antoine Spearman. I live in Dallas, Texas as we speak. By the way of Kansas City. Kansas City. I just go by Spear. So if anybody wants to, refer to me, just say Spear. You're good to go. Thank you, Colleen, first and foremost,
Okay. And then
for
now we
inviting
have
me. I much appreciate it.
no problem. You know I love you. Okay, Miss Carolyn Wilson. She is like a to me, guys. Been knowing Carolyn shoot for probably about 30 years or better.
Oh
And I've
no, I'm the
watched her grow
youngest.
up. I'm so proud, sister. I know. I said I'm big sister. Carolyn,
So
introduce
hey, can't
yourself.
be 30 years. My name is Carolyn Wilson. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I currently live in the DMV area, and I deal with the federal government. That's all I can tell you right now. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Carly.
No problem, no problem. And then my other sister on the call is Miss Lisa Griffin. She's my spiritual sister, but I've been knowing Lisa for years too, because our sons went to school together and they still friends. And so we're still friends. Just because they grew up don't mean we can't be friends. Lisa, introduce
Well,
yourself.
hello. I'm a little bit under the weather, but my name is Lisa Griffin. I'm also the owner of Simply Good. I sell designer inspired body oils. So if you need to smell good, I'm the lady that can hook you up.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And now, not last or least, but my brother, Felix Bernard. Felix and I have been together over 30 years too, guys. Felix is a barber. He cut my son's hair for the time, and I was in the kitchen crying, and he was teasing me while he was cutting my son's hair. You remember that, Felix?
Yes, yes, yes. As she
Go
said,
ahead
I'm
and
Felix
introduce
Bernard.
yourself.
I am currently here in Kansas City. Came up here after the military, but my roots are down in Mississippi, past Christian, off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. One thing I do is, she said that, you know, I cut hair. That's a skill that I acquired. I also have another skill that my wife and I, we're in financial services, where we just simply show families how to put strategies together to hit their financial goals and dreams, and, you know, just accomplish the things that you want. Now, the uniqueness about what we do is that we don't give you a block of instructions only, but we walk you through it hand in hand along the journey as well, creating more families and friendships. And thank you for inviting me.
And now, guys,
thank you for inviting me to be a part of the podcast.
hey, you know, I had to get my real people on here so we can have a ball with this. And then we need to talk with our special guest, who is Mr. Gunter. Man, that's what everybody knows him as. But why don't you introduce yourself, give us your name, and tell us what you do?
How's it going, guys? I am Gunter Man. I am Felix's brother-in-law. He's married to my sister. But in business, I am a self-love and relationship life coach. I'm a school motivational speaker, and I'm also an author of a book dealing with dating. That's right, navigating dating through accountability and self-love. So I'm really looking forward to this topic, picking brains and hearing some new perspectives on life, love, living, and how to serve people in a better way.
Yes, yes. That's why I'm excited about this topic too, because it's a good topic. And you know, we've all been through some things in life, in dating, relationships, and different things. And I think as older adults, we will be able to help the people coming behind us, because relationships, those are hard things to navigate. We've all been there, done that, and we can write the book. I don't want to teach because I didn't get hurt. So now let's dive into these questions. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Ready?
Okay, go. Question number 1. What does being in a relationship, what does being in a relationship mean to you? And anybody?
I'll go.
All right, go ahead.
Me?
Go
Can you
ahead,
hear
Lisa.
me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Well, coming from a married for 25 years, for the last 12, I think. Dealing with the understanding would be my. That's it. It's just that simple.
It's a relationship. Great.
Okay. Antoine, you look like you want to say
Did you not?
something.
Okay. I do, but I don't want to go first in front of the experts and all that kind of stuff. But being in a relationship, to me, is love, agape love, unconditional love, open transparency, to be able to have conversation. I want to have a spouse, and I'm married to Nikita Louise Spearman. We've been married 10 years now,
Mhm.
and this is my second marriage. Um, we're very, very,
Mhm.
very transparent with our conversation. And for me, I respect that. And I tell her all the time, I say, men, when you have conversations with men, we respect conversation. We respect upfrontness. You know, we want to be able to
Mhm.
handle that, whatever that may be. But I say to her as well, because I'm a person who just lays on the plate. If I offend you, if I say something,
Mhm.
please let me know, because I want to figure out what your love language is.
Right.
I I wanna be able to be
Mhm.
consistent with it. You know, I want to know what your consciousness
Mhm.
is. I want to know what's on your mind. I want to bond. I want to have the great relationship. I want to have the kind of relationships that my family has. I have 14
Mhm.
uncles and aunties on my father's side and 17 uncles and aunties on my mother's side. And the majority of them had relationships for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. When I was younger,
Yes. Yes.
that was too much for me. That was too much for me because, as you know, Carlene, every month I had a relationship with different. I missed the
Dear
um,
bye.
Yeah. 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 Look,
but
look, I know we're not relatives for nothing. Yes. Yes.
and so
But you know what? That's part of growing though.
it is. It's part of evolving, and I believe every 5 to 10 years you evolve. You become a different person. Where if you keep breathing, like I tell these young men that I have conversations with, and I'm a basketball coach. I mean, not basketball coach. I'm a basketball referee. I'm the one with the whistle. I'm the one that's on the court, and I'm talking to the guys, and I'm talking to them. I'm talking to the young ladies. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm that guy that's really not going to give you the foul, but if I see it, I'm going to call it like it is. But don't tell me that you didn't foul.
Mhm. Mm.
Don't tell me that you didn't do this. Don't tell me that you didn't do
Right.
this. So I'm saying all that to say this: that love, bottom line, is consistency. Love is being open. Love is being transparent,
Mm.
and that's part of having a great
Mhm.
relationship.
Yes. Yes, it is. And you know what? Listening to you and Lisa talk about that, it made me think about some things. Because a lot of times when I'm out, people will ask you questions or bring different things to you that really is not on your mind at the time. And I don't know if that's the Holy Spirit lead them to you, or if you just look like, have that face that looks like you may know something. But one of the things that came to mind was I was out, and anybody lives in Kansas City, they know about Jay's Chicken and Fish, okay? So I was in my family, we love fish. We'll do fish anytime we can get it, right, Antoine? We can
All
do
the time.
fish almost every night. But
All the time.
yes, when I was in there, a young lady approached me and she was asking about skincare and stuff, and she found out I was an esthetician. And so she had these eyelashes on, and she was wanting to get more, kind of look like spiders on her eyes. That's what I say. But one of the things that came to mind was, I said, let me be quite honest with you. I said, men don't like that. And she said, men don't like that. And there was three guys in there waiting on their food. And so I said, watch this. And I said, fellas, excuse me. And they said, yes, ma'am. I said, can I ask you a question? And I said, what do you think when you see a young lady and she's got these eyelashes on, and hair, and these nails and everything? And they looked at each other. I said, be totally honest. I said, because that's the only way that you can help somebody, if you're totally honest. And they said, well, we really don't like that because we don't know what we're getting. You're gonna come home, you're gonna take the hair off, you're gonna take the eyelashes off. We don't know what else you're gonna take off. And so I
Mhm.
did not laugh. I wanted to. I put a big grin and I looked at her. I said, now you see what I'm talking about? I said, they like natural. Then they know what they're getting. And I don't think, and you guys correct me, you don't mind if we put on a little bit of makeup, put on our little jewelry, and even fix our hair. I don't think you guys mind that. And I don't think you mind a wig every now and then, because a lot of times we do it for the style. We do it for the style
They
or the
just don't
color.
mind all that
So I
right
don't think
there.
you guys mind that.
It's way too much. That's way too much. Looks like they about to fly
I
away.
know that's what I told her. And now I'm gonna change the conversation just a bit, because ladies, watch the men's reaction when I ask this question. Gentlemen, when you see a woman walk into a room that you've never seen before, do you not watch the way she walks, what she's wearing, how she talks and carries herself? Do you guys watch that when it's somebody you never seen before come into a
Well,
room?
if I
When you
may,
see that woman,
I don't watch it because
uh-huh,
I'm married, but I do pay attention to their
mm-hmm,
aura. And because when you
mm-hmm,
watching it, you get to get that smack upside the head. But I'm just saying, it's like I pay attention to the aura and how they carry themselves. And I may glance
correct.
and take a picture, but other than that, yeah. And then I'll get a synopsis. I'll break it
Okay.
down, diagnose things, and hopefully I'm not wrong. You know, by the time I get through,
Look,
and they're going to walk in or whatever the situation may be.
look, tell my cousin, don't get mad, because some of these questions are about things before you and her got together where I need your opinion so we can help somebody else. But what I was
Oh,
telling somebody, and I tell women this all the time, and you guys correct me where I'm wrong. When you guys take that synopsis of when that woman walks in that room and what's going on, by the way she walks, talks, and dressed and carries herself, you guys can tell exactly what you can do with her and what you cannot. Am I not correct?
For
I know y'all
myself,
don't
it's
want to say
probably a little
nothing
bit
else
different.
about
No, can you hear me? I'm talking. For myself,
the
I definitely notice what they have, what a woman has on when she walks into a room. How she
Mhm,
carries herself is definitely stands out. But as far as guessing what I'm dealing with, I always have to put that on the back burner because we are the way we are based on whatever we've been through and the
mhm,
decisions that we made in life. So sometimes what
mhm,
if I look at her and I'm assuming something, it's only based on what I've been through. And she's not a part of what
okay,
I've been through. So when I get
mhm,
the opportunity to talk to her, even if she speaks with whatever, you know, well educated or from the street, I still can't judge because the essence of a person or the heart of the person is the thing that's going to grab you. That's the thing that's going to hold fast to your
right,
heart and connect you to her. Um,
mhm,
I'm gonna look at how she dressed regarding. I grew up a dancer, choreographer, entertainment, so I'm gonna look at the body. I'm gonna see where she's at with that. But even then, I'm not making a judgment. You know, um, so for myself, that's what comes to mind for me.
And so as
okay,
for me,
okay, Felix, you were
a
gonna
little
say
bit of my
something.
background.
Mhm,
As for me, a little bit of my background, I come from the cosmetology field, and so you like you're saying that the eyelashes and the makeup and things like that, eyebrows being arched, it's just, and I kind of have a OCD, so I'm kind of attention to detail type of person. So yeah, so those things do stick out. They do matter to people. Um, but it's just about are you interacting with people, and this is kind of hard to make a full total decision based off of what you see. But the most important thing
mhm,
is what the conversation's like. Um, and then of course, if they're professional, if they look professional, then they're about business, and I'll leave that alone. Because if people just they dress any old kind of way and you think that it's okay, it's okay for you, but don't expect to attract something that you're not wanting to be. And in most cases, that people are
okay.
wanting something that they're not willing to do themselves. And so,
Now that is true.
so I want to
That
I
is
want I
very
want to
true.
touch bases on the first question you asked is about relationships. And one of the things I've
Mhm,
come to learn is that there's many ships. There's several ships inside of relationships. There's friendship, then there's fellowship, there's courtship,
mhm,
there's companionship, there's partnership, but there's one ship that's not in that
mhm,
relationship, and that is there's no ownership. And so we're not. I mean, we don't own anything,
mhm,
but those ships are in that.
mhm,
your point. Your
mhm.
point's made.
I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
Yeah,
I like to
those
say,
are real
like
good
Felix,
points.
life is all about relationships.
Good, real.
Everything that we deal with is a relationship. So whether it is a friendship or co-workers or family or kids, God, right? Because that's a relationship. But the most important relationship, though, the relationship
Yes,
that
yes, it
has the
is.
most effect on the people and the situations that you're dealing with is the relationship you have with yourself. That's the main relationship. You know, when I first started out with the
Yeah.
business of self-love and relationships, people that were married were like, well, how can you talk to me about marriage if you're not married? I'm like, well, the relationship that I'm talking about is the relationship you have with yourself. And that will affect your
Correct.
marriage.
Correct.
How you see yourself, how you treat yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you speak about yourself,
Yes.
the self-talk, all that stuff affects the way that the world will interact with you. It, as we talked about attraction, it affects what you attract
Yes.
because you can say what you want, but if you treat yourself poorly is what's going to come
Yes.
your way to treat you.
That's right.
Yes, it does. Yes, that
Definitely.
is absolutely correct. That is
That just
absolutely
gave me
correct.
goosebumps.
Let
I
me.
like to chime in because I agree with each of the guys, what you guys said.
Mhm.
But when it all boils down for me, is how can I have the agape love if I don't understand you? How can I have a partnership, a friendship with you if I don't understand your way of thinking? How can I, have a friendship with you if I don't understand you? I need to be able to understand your way of thinking. And then I know what I'm signing up for. Because if I don't understand you, guess what? That ship is bound to sink
Quickly.
And
quickly.
Carlene, if I could chime in to what Lisa's
That's
saying,
true. So
back in the day,
go ahead, Carolyn.
back in the day, they used to talk about a relationship was give and take, and that is the true statement. You know, Gunther, I like dancing. I'm dating someone that's into tango right now. They're doing Norwegian, some kind of European tango, but meanwhile, it's about give and take, and it's about feeling that person's vibe. Every day is not going to be good. For the last 2 weeks, we've had to deal with funerals. And you can see somebody at their most vulnerable state when they're going through these things. That's me driving 3.5 hours one way, 2 weeks in a row. It wasn't fun, but I enjoyed the sunshine. I finally got a book on tape, and I'm listening to it just to get there. And I did the same thing coming home. But it's give and take. There are going to be good days for them. There's going to be good days for you, and back and forth. Sometimes the days are just so good, and you forget
Yes.
that you got to do all the other stuff at the same time. And then you look at work, and they say that when we get to a certain age, all kind of things going on. Like I have a mother who's suffering with dementia in St. Louis, and I'm handling her finance from long distance and getting her groceries. So he has to deal with me at that time when I'm dealing with that crisis. So it's a give and take. And it can be a smooth dance or it can be one of them rough ones, but it really is about the movement that's going back and forth and communicating. And like Lisa said, because the hardest thing for me, if you don't tell me what's on your mind, I'm not a mind reader. That was in the first marriage. I'm not going into any other relationship being a mind reader because I felt like I was programmed in that first one. He could nod and he wants something to drink. That's how good he was. But we're not doing that this time around. But it's about give and take.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
one
You
of
know
the-
what? Let's back the comment a little bit then. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one of the things that
Felix, go ahead.
One of the things I've come to discover is that for a man to truly love or fully love a woman is that he first must love God first.
Oh, yeah.
Without that, then we cannot fully love a woman the way that she needs to be loved. And so it comes with a whole lot of things. Like one of the things I constantly reflect on is that how Christ treats me and how he forgives me. And then so I have to turn around and do that for others because we're charged to do that. It says love one another, confess your sins to one another. Christ come to serve, not to be served, and so and like you said, Carolyn, it's a give and take. And as we give to serve our spouse, then it comes back. It reciprocates itself. But yeah, if the relationship is only give, that's the only thing that person does, then it's not gonna last. Or or if
Right.
they're just takers, they just take. It's
Right.
eventually
Correct.
that person that gives and gives, it
Break down.
come to an end.
It's like a bank account.
Yes.
You make no deposits, you
Mhm.
can't make no
Amen.
withdrawals.
There you go.
I'm in the
Mhm.
financial
Mhm.
industry, okay?
Okay.
Well, guys, let's back that
Right.
up a little bit because before we got to the relationship, you had to meet somebody. So men are hunters by nature. Okay. That's y'all's nature. Am I right or wrong? You guys are hunters. So when
Oh,
you're
you're totally
looking
right.
for somebody, say that again.
So you're right.
Okay. So when you guys are looking for somebody, what qualities are you looking at woman when you're wanting to get into a relationship? Like, for example, Antoine, when you met your wife, see her, and then finally introduce yourself to her and start talking to her. What qualities were you looking for? Felix, I want the same thing from you.
One of the first things that her and I talked about was respecting conversation. I was telling her, I
Okay.
said, I can listen without interrupting you. And that goes back to Proverbs 1:8. And she was astonished by that. Like, you will listen to my conversation without just bursting in and having, your particular opinion. I said, I didn't used to be like that.
Mhm.
I said, I've
Yeah.
learned how to listen. And even though I had all kind of thoughts going through my head, I said, Spirit, relax,
Mhm.
take it back just a little bit, listen to what she's saying. And then not just come with your opinion
Mhm.
and vice versa. Because with men, that's a lot. Because we, in our love language, we just want to be respected. And a lot of times we don't have the same uh, vocabulary sometimes, or we're not able to run sentences together and make them sound like this or make them sound like that. But we want to be heard when we talk, and we don't want to be interrupted. And I say, okay, well, if that's the case, if that's what I want, I have to make sure I portray that to her as well. And so she was like, okay, who are you and where did you come from? And that was I said, well, you know, I moved from Kansas City because I had so many different people in my ear, and this after my first divorce. And I thought I
Mhm.
would never be divorced. I was like, I'm the spear. There's no way on earth I'm gonna be divorced. When I get married, I'm gonna just this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it. But then
Mhm.
when you do become separated, you do become on your own. You have to find who you truly are.
Yeah.
You have
Mhm.
to be who
Mhm.
you truly are. So it's like, okay, uh, when we have conversations, forgive without punishing. Forgive. I
Mhm.
forgive,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna bring it back up in our next argument. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Forgive without
Yes.
punishment. If I tell you I forgive you,
Mhm.
or if you tell you
Mhm.
forgive me,
That's
that's it. Because
Oh,
that's a trigger that'll go from whoop, whoop to here real quick. And it's like, okay, now we're arguing.
yes.
Now we're just screaming. Now we're just saying, okay, you don't really love me.
mm,
You love the thought of being
Mhm.
in a marriage,
Mhm.
or you love the thought of
Mhm.
being in a relationship. And I just happen to be here. And men, or just
Yes.
me, I will shut down.
Mhm.
They're like, okay, all right, okay. I don't
Yeah.
think you understand
Mhm.
when I shut
Mhm.
down, or vice versa. I don't. I had to learn that when women shut down and they say, okay, okay, and it's like, uh-oh. But you don't think about that at the time. You're like,
Yes.
uh-oh, and then,
Mhm.
when somebody walks
Mhm.
out that door and they don't come back,
Mhm.
you think about all the times they said, okay, and you think, man,
Mhm.
I'm really not that person that I thought I was. I'm really not
Mhm.
that person
Mhm.
of God that I thought I was. I'm going to church every week. I'm in Bible studies. I'm cutting the grass. I'm doing all of that. I'm painting the insides. I'm doing all of that.
Mhm.
I'm really not the person
Mhm.
who I think I am, according to God.
Mhm.
And so now I got to self-reflect.
Yes,
I got to look inside me. I got to love me. And when I came across
that's
her
right.
and we started talking about me loving God, and then I told her from the beginning, I said, oh no, I'm never, ever, 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 ever getting into another marriage. Never, ever. Until I know me and I know who I am.
Mhm.
And because I want to be able to
Mhm.
respect you. I want to be able to respect me first and then respect you and make
Yeah.
sure we have conversation. And that's why I
Mm.
say transparency, it
Yeah.
is incredible. Transparency is incredible. Even though it'll hit you in the face like a sledgehammer, you're thinking to yourself, like, right, okay, I receive that. And I'll say, points made, check. I received that check and I put it in
Mhm.
my little, my little notes. And then I come back and I say, and it always come back. It always
Mhm.
comes back to the point where you could pull that out and use it again. And they're like, oh, it makes the evening better. It makes your food better. When you
Mhm.
eat, you ain't thinking about getting poison. Nothing for that, but yeah,
Mhm.
it just when you leave church and you had that feeling and you look at each other, you playing with each other, it makes the time better.
Mhm.
Baby, where you want to go
Yes, it
eat,
does.
you know? And then he's like treating you better.
Mhm.
Oh. And I said, if I had had this knowledge at a young age, then there's no telling.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
no telling. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
I still am young.
Yes.
So I'm using this.
Mhm.
And you asked me to come on
Agree.
here. And
I agree because we're getting younger every day.
it has to be when they say I'm like, okay, I'm young. I'm young. Y'all,
Mhm.
I'm 60
Mhm.
years young. And they like, you mean old right now?
Mhm.
God has
Exactly.
blessed me. It
Mhm.
so blessed me.
Yes.
And I appreciate it all.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And you know what you
Yeah,
just said is
a lot
real,
of
and more
what
people need to hear that.
Yeah.
what Spear said that a lot of what Spear said I relate to, and this is my second marriage as well. Um, and so this thing about relationships. So my wife now, when we connected, it was through somebody who knew her, and they both were in a Christian singles ministry, and it was during the pandemic time, and she was crying out to the Lord, "How am I gonna meet somebody in the pandemic? I'm working from home." And so when I exited when I exited my first marriage, I, I'm a mechanic as well, and that's what I do. I mean, that's one of the things that I do as well. So, if you have a new car and the engine goes bad, then just replace the engine. Don't go get a new car. And so
Mhm.
when my first marriage was imploding, when the problem arose, I was like, okay, so now we got something that we can work on to resolve it, because I'm like Spirit, I just didn't believe in that. It's just gonna be, I'm gonna divorce somebody and I'm gonna divorce and get married. No, it's one and done, is what I thought. And so, but during that
Mhm.
process, I never asked the question why. And I just had one question: is this what you want? Because I'm just not gonna be with nobody that don't want to be with me, right? And so
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
progressed on, and and so it's during the pandemic when I was I went to a nutrition place, ordered me a drink, and I saw two guys at the table, and I was just, I gravitated toward them while I was waiting on my drink, and we got into a conversation. And one of the guys, the guy that my wife knows, And he was like intrigued with what I was saying. And so he whips out a cell phone and shows me a picture of her and say, "What you want? What you think of her?" I said, "What you want me to do, rate her?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "What's my scale? 1 to 10?" He said, "Yeah." And I looked at him and said, "A 10?" He said, "A 10?" I said, "Yeah, pull her back up again." So I looked a little more intently, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I give her a 10, just depending on what a conversation like, whether or not that to change." He's like, "Well, you got to meet her." And so I'm thinking in my mind, sphere, okay, well, if I say she a 10 and you want to introduce, why are you not talking to her? That's what I'm thinking. Well, I went with it, and we connected. And so the thing, the answer to your question, Colleen, is that when I met her, she saw me.
Mhm.
She saw me.
Mhm.
She wasn't a foodie.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, a lot of women are just they're missing their chance because they just want somebody to take them out to eat for a meal.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you're missing the opportunity for a person because if a man tells you that he's interested in you, and then you just want to take him out to eat, then you're ruining the opportunity to be in a relationship. And so when we connected, she saw me. And she always asked, "Honey, what do you mean by when I saw you? What do you mean? What do you mean?" You paid attention to me. What I said, what our conversations, you put yourself into the conversation. We dialogue. And so from that process, from that time, and our whole deal was transparency, because what we both been through, because our previous marriages ended up the same way, infidelity. It ended up the same way. And so we agreed to be transparent, and so as time went on, and I was like, okay, so we're going somewhere. I mean, we were driving one day, and I asked Honey, I said, "Honey, what we doing?" And she said, "Huh? Now the road is this way, but she's looking this way." She's like, I asked her the question. I said, "What we doing?" So she turned the radio down and said, "What?" I said, "What we doing?" She said, "We dating." But she was looking at me. I said, "The road is this way, baby. Pay attention to the road now." She's like, "No, we're dating." And so, and so we just
Well,
and we just progressed on from there. I mean, she was she told her friends they investigated me, and I was going on the investigation, and and so we went and ate one day. She took me to the prayer room, invited me. She invited what she didn't realize is that that's my thing right there. You want to go to the prayer room? I was like, "Yeah, let's go." We just fell into worship. It was hardly nobody in there. We just fell into worship and everything. So yeah. Well, that's the thing.
You know what? That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And you know what? I think when people meet each other, they're putting on airs instead of seeing what they're looking for. What it is that they want. They're putting on airs. Because it's funny, that brings to mind what you said. I was in the store with one of my cousins, and if anybody's been in Target, you know how long those aisles are. There was a guy hollered down the aisle, "Hey, I want," and Felix, you know me very well. All of y'all do on this. That did not set well with me. That did not set well. And my cousin seen my demeanor change. My family can tell, and people that really know me can tell when my demeanor changed and changed. You all know that I'm a very friendly person and I will help anybody. But don't holler at me, especially if you are a man. A man need to learn how to approach women. You don't holler that no woman. Her, you come over to her, introduce yourself, and start the conversation from there. And so I probably turned into Eveline. I ain't gonna even lie. When he did that, it was just a turn off for me. And I just told him, I said, "You know what?" I said, "You cannot afford me." And that's where I ended the conversation. Now, people that don't know me think when I said that, I'm talking about money. I'm not talking about money. To me, when you afford, first of all, you to approach them correctly. Okay. Have just basic manners. Okay. Especially when you approach a woman. Basic manners. And that's what I meant about afford me. Because if you're hollering at me halfway down an aisle, what else are you? I don't even want to know. I just don't know. I cut it right then and there. Now, am I wrong?
Oh man. You know, I agree with the hollering at you is not exactly a good way of going about it. You know, the difference between liking someone and loving someone is simply a mere tilt of your head. Do you understand that? Meaning that, like, if you're interested in someone, all you need to do is this. Let me try that one more time. All you need to do is this. And with that little tilt, you're willing to give up all these rules and regulations that you have about how you need to come to me and how you need to be. See, all those things that you speak about as being common, they're really not. They're only common to you. And if they're only common to you, what's to say that in the right setting, a holler at you could be the perfect at a party. It could be the perfect laughter way to catch your attention, to make you laugh. Like, he did not just speak to me that way, which then causes him to say something, which causes you to, and then you're back and forth. Because oftentimes you find yourself, you dated someone at first you didn't like. Think about it. Stop and think. There's someone in your past that you did not like, but you dated. But your rules would have of course avoided that person out from jump. So my thinking is, enjoy the interaction. He doesn't know you well enough not to speak to you that way. You are given the opportunity to chat with someone. As far as when you meet someone, I'm not even thinking about, I'm trying to make you mine. I want to just see if you're a good friend. If you can be someone that I can laugh and talk and have a conversation with. Because if I'm already thinking romance, I am now, as you talked about, tempted to put on some type of air about me or presentation about me with the hopes that this presentation is going to work for the person that I don't know anything about. No, it's simply like, hey, connection, laughter. And through conversation, you're going to find out, hey, you know, this connection that we're having, this laughter, this joking, this big bright smile, this want to call you or get your number is, hey, this is an alignment, right? There's connection and then there's an alignment. Are we in alignment? And you're not going to find out the alignment part until you have a conversation. But if your mind is thinking romance, it's hard to find alignment when you're so hopped on, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, he's this, she's that. You get so caught up in that. I love what Spears had to say when he talked about respecting each other. Respect is simply giving the person the floor to speak what's on their mind. Meaning that I'm willing to say what's on my mind despite how you may feel about it. That's what respect is. And I am going to set up an environment where you can speak what's on your mind despite how I may feel about it. Because in the early stages of dating, there should be no holds bar. Meaning that I should not be not saying this because it might turn her off. No. She's just a friend right now. And if you're just a friend, I need to be able to tell you what I've been through, what I'm feeling, if the question arises. You know, we're not throwing it just to dump on someone.
Right.
So my mindset is then, how do I now afford her, the respect part, afford her the opportunity to respectfully share what's on her mind? You know, if I'm cutting her off, she's not going to have an opportunity, right? Because every time you cut her off, you're saying that I don't really want to hear what you have to say because I thought of something that you should hear, which might cancel the thing that you just said and maybe in judgment of me. Look, if you are having a conversation and you're speaking judgment about me and don't know me, why would that offend me? You're just simply speaking about yourself and what you've been through. So reveal it. You're going to see me
Mhm.
through what you've been through. I'm going to see you through what I've been through. So why don't we just have a
Mhm.
conversation and you say what's on your mind and I say what's on my mind, and let's see if we get along like that. So let's see if we can actually grow to something. But respect is, once again, respect is allowing the person the opportunity to say what's on their mind without any sense of holding on to negative judgment, because she doesn't know you. He doesn't know you.
Mhm.
So your
Mhm.
mindset is, I just want an environment where you're just willing to talk. So what I look for in a partner is, first, and I've tried this enough times, I really need someone
Mhm.
in in the same type of faith as I am, heading down that same kind of path. I've
Mhm.
tried different faiths and saying, you know what, you're not unequally yoked, and we're not judging the other person, just not yoked with what I'm
Mhm.
believing in and what I'm heading towards.
Right.
Because I need I need the word to reprove you when you're off, not me to reprove you. I want some type of
Mhm.
standard in place that's checking you, that even when I don't follow line, it doesn't give you the right to speak up and treat me poorly. See what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Correct.
That's
Like,
good.
I am
Yes,
going to
I
be
agree
held
with
to a
you.
standard. So even if you
Mhm.
fail to hold to that standard, it doesn't give me the right now to jump down your throat and to be a particular way and break the standard that I have to hold. And that's where relationships
Mhm.
get real sweet. Now you can have your own particulars. Hey, I don't want someone that kind of messes with marijuana. Hey, I don't want someone that smokes. Hey, I don't want. You can have
Right.
all those type of things, but let your head
Mhm.
tilt and see how much you're willing to give up for those rules. Oh, my man gotta have. Oh, my girl gotta have. I want, because I'm a talker, so I can't be with someone
Mhm.
that doesn't enjoy long conversations. I am the type of person that
Yes.
you go
Yeah.
through a relationship not being physical. So if we're not being physical, we got to be able to talk. You make love to my
Correct.
mind with your words and conversations. And how she said about that drive for
Exactly.
3 hours, right? Drive for 3 hours. That's love.
Mhm.
Ooh, that just gave me good. That's loving me in ways that is just unspoken.
Yes.
Like, it's how you
Yeah.
show up for me. Because when we're dealing with
Mhm.
relationships, we want the other person to treat us better than the way we treat ourselves. We don't
Mhm.
always keep the words that we say. We don't say what we mean and mean what we say. We don't show ourselves to be trustworthy, and we don't show ourselves to be filled with integrity. And yet, when we start to date the other person, that's exactly what they need to do. How? How does
Mhm.
that work? You are not faithful to keep your own words, and yet you're going to demand and not even be
That I keep.
forgiven when the other person does it. So how does that work? So
Mhm.
it's being able to be in a space and place where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna love you exactly the way you are. And see, the agape love, as Lisa talked about, that agape love is the love of and for God in the renewed mind and manifestation. So whether they're worthy of it or not, they're getting it from me. They're getting it from me. The
Mhm.
only thing they're not getting from me is if I'm to keep putting you in a place that you can fall short and it hinders me. So I'm going to
Mhm.
love you no matter what. But the more you show me about how you are and it doesn't line up with where I'm trying to go and who I'm trying to be, I have to place you in a position where you can still see the love of God from a distance, but
Mhm.
your decisions aren't hurting me, aren't injuring me, aren't
Correct.
Yeah.
hindering me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
I don't respect myself well enough, I'm gonna let you beat me up like crazy. Because one of my downside is I'm a giver. But what's the problem
Mhm.
with the giver? A giver don't teach the person how to give them. You can say, "Oh,
That's
I'm a
true.
giver," but our weakest
True.
thing is that we do not teach the other person how to give to us or how to show up for us.
Correct.
Us men, we
Correct.
men. How many times do you say, "I'm good, I'm good, I'm good"? Don't be saying "I'm good" to
Mhm.
your kids. I'm good. No, let your
Mhm.
kids see how they need to show up for you.
That's right.
Because when you get older,
Mhm. That's true.
right? When they carry
Mhm.
out, right? When you got to start taking care of your parents. I want to know
Yes.
how my dad needs me to be there for him. I need to know how
Correct.
my mom needs to show up. No, no, I'm good. No, tell them, let them in. Yo, this is what you could do to bless me. This is what you could do to help me. This is what you can do to allow me to feel a little freer in this category of my life. That's love. That's what respect is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts.
I got a quick comment on that. That's so excellent, brother.
Okay, no problem. No.
And what I
Okay.
wanted to say before that escaped me before Rick got on, Gunner Man got on, is that, you know, when my wife and I connected, we didn't have a list. We didn't have a list. And,
Mhm.
you know, we had a conversation about that. And we wouldn't have made each other's list if we would have had a list.
You just said that.
And so one of the things, and like Gunner Man was saying, teach me how to love you. That's what he's saying. Teach me how to love you. And so, you know, and this is the whole thing. Hey, you know, when you do this, I feel like this way. This makes me feel this way when you do this. And so one of the things that we have to, you know, we have to have that conversation. Because if they're doing things that is not well with you, you let it slide, then it's just gonna just snowball, and then that wall begins to build. But we don't want the wall. We want the bridge. We want the bridge where we can connect.
Right.
And we don't want the wall. It's like, ugh. And so these little things, they start building, and they start, you know, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I can control you. Well, why? It's because a lot of everything that they do is irritating to you now. But yeah, so you wanna be at a point where you can tell each other, hey, teach me how to love you. And so, and that's it.
Well,
Right.
you know what? You mentioned the list. I have had a list since 2022, and that list came about from it's my personal guideline, because I didn't know what you think about it. I've been married all my life, you know, and I come out here, everything is totally different. So if I am to let God know my heart's desires, I start putting them down on paper. And I love the fact this was my first time interacting with Christian men on a topic like this. So you guys would have made my first 5, period, point, the end, and everything else below would have been a piece of cake for me. But I had to tweak my list, because those things that I didn't know that I didn't like, because I was only used to one man in my life. So now that, yeah, brother, if your shoes are ran over and your pants are baggy, no, I don't like that. So in our initial meeting one another, we're going to talk about your appearance. We'll hit on different subjects, but my deal breaker, baby, if you're not in love with Jesus Christ like I am, you don't have nothing coming from me. Nothing. That might sound kind of cold, but I was in a relationship with a young man that didn't even have Christ on his mind. And I felt that I was just crumbling inside. So I will not compromise my relationship, nor will I compromise with a brother who don't even have Christ on his mind. Now, if he's willing to go to church with me, if he's willing to go to church with me,
I
guess
agree
what?
too. High
Give me
five.
something to work with. But baby, I can't see being in a marriage. I'm going to church and you at home watching football. Just like you need your natural food, baby, you need your spiritual food, so we can be on one
Yes,
accord. So when the enemy comes
That's
in
right.
and try to throw a curveball, how are we speaking?
Right. Exactly.
I get kind of round up.
Exactly. And you know what?
This, okay? But I do have my list.
But you're
It's
absolutely
in my
right.
Bible. It's on my phone. And I got to have that heartbreaking conversation to someone this evening, because the young man, he's interested in me, but he hasn't been to church. Oh, I don't. Okay, well, you need to know that I'm not that person for you. Now, we could be friends, but for me to bring you into my world and you don't have that love of Christ in your heart, who are you following? Who are you submitting? Because as you follow Christ, I'm going to follow you.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's
you know what? Y'all
me.
stepped
So,
all
brother,
over one of my
I
questions.
do have my list, and it's 70. Well, let me say this, and I'll be done. When I got down to the very bottom of my list, right? And I was like, God, am I that picky? And when I got to the very bottom, even to the credit score, it's no more than what I give. So why should I expect I
Exactly.
bring more to the table than just my appetite? So I'm like, God, this is everything that I give. I
Mhm.
give you my
Mhm.
best. I give you love. I give you respect. I give you my best and my parents. I'll pray with you. I'll dance with you. I'll travel with you. But we got to get those first. We got to get those first 5 things handled first for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially
I'm
if
not
you're
even gonna
Right.
settle because that I already know been down there. It don't feel good for me.
No,
a woman of
no, you
God,
don't have to settle.
Yeah,
you definitely have to have that
Right. You're
those
not going to
boundaries in
settle.
place.
it's different, you guys. When
Right.
you're married, you don't deal with the same thing the single people deal with, right? Like you go to church
Correct.
for whatever reason.
Correct.
Church folks think because you interact with the opposite sex that you're in the bed with you. I am a living witness. 6 years in a buddy relationship,
No,
nothing. Okay, so it's
exactly.
important to me to have that connection. Somebody who loves the Lord, we getting fed our spiritual food. Baby, what
Most
you think?
definitely.
And you know, how are we gonna apply this in our lives? That's what I desire.
You know what I like
Exactly.
about her
Well,
list?
see, y'all stepped all over my question.
That's the Holy
Go
Spirit.
ahead. Go ahead, Gunner.
Go ahead,
I
go
was
ahead,
just gonna
Gunner.
say, what's so wonderful about her list is that she is already her list. That's
Yeah.
what she's saying. I am the
Mhm.
list that I am making, and I'm
Mhm.
expecting him to be. I am that list already. Now, the things that are the man part,
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
can't be that. But for the most part, what I'm handing him, what I'm
Right.
asking for is that I am the female version of that in those parts when he's dealing with men. But I am
Right.
my list, which makes a list
Mhm.
absolutely beautiful because Rich is saying you really just looking for a reflection of yourself,
Yep.
I like that. Yeah.
Love
And
yourself.
it's not to
right?
put
Yeah.
nobody down.
Yeah.
Just
That's exactly what
but
You
you're
that's what
know?
the
saying.
Holy Spirit revealed to me. It's no more than what you give.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you guys stepped all over my question because one of my questions were, what are your expectations for future relationships? And a lot of times I say people have the Cinderella mindset. You want somebody to horse and save you, but when you look at where you're at, you're not where you should be, but you're expecting this person to come and pull you out. Nobody can pull you out. It's yourself first. And that starts with looking at who you are, where you're at, and what you're expecting. So if I want a man to come in and grab me, pay all of my bills, and do all of this, that's unrealistic. That's what I call a Cinderella. That's wrong. That's wrong. You are what you attract. So you have to look
Right.
at who you are. Just like Antoine said or Spears said earlier, he had to look at him. I knew him back in the younger days, of course, because we're family, and I know where he came from and where he is now. I've always loved him, but I even love the man that he is now more because he fixed himself. And that's what each of us has to do. We have to fix ourselves. So if I'm desiring somebody, like Lisa said, like women got this list, then I have to first be that. I have to first be that. I have to fix me so I can
That
attract
is
what it is I
so
like.
true.
Like
I can
Gunter
say
said, I'm a communicator. I'm a communicator. I love to talk and have conversations. So if I got somebody that doesn't want to talk, oh boy, that ain't gonna be good. That ain't gonna be good because I love to talk. I love to go out. I love to do things spontaneously. So I can't have nobody. Oh well, I got a plan to do this. Oh, we can't do that. We need to plan it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble because you're gonna look up and I'm gonna do what Felix said. Okay. Okay. No problem. Because when you look up, Carlene gone. She gonna be gone. I'm just gonna tell you.
Head
I'm just
tilted
gonna
and
tell you
all,
because I
right?
had
I'm
dated a
gone.
guy years back. You know what? Let's do Vegas for the week. It was tilted,
Hold on,
okay?
wait.
Wasn't tilted at all because I was like, hey, let's
Hold
go
on,
to
wait a
Vegas
minute.
for the weekend. You know what he told me? wait, Felix, let me finish. He told me that we needed to save for a year to go to Vegas, and I'm used to anybody know me back then. It was checks or your debit card, just hook up the airline and get on up. I go to Vegas. Oh, baby, no, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. But go ahead. What were you gonna say, Felix?
Hey, when we are in these relationships, and that especially if it's in our parameters of what we're wanting, and I've learned that we have to have some flexibility. We can't be too rigid, but we got to be able to bend a little bit. We got to have some like, I'll try this. I'll try this. And so, I mean, it's just about, if money's no issue for both of you guys, yeah, it shouldn't be an issue to just get up and go. Especially if everything is already taken care of. You ain't got no kids, or somebody already got the babysitter taken care of, and things of that nature. The place where you take the animals to over the weekend and stuff, while you go on the trip. Yeah. If that's no issue, yeah, we should be able to just up and go. If that's you guys' forte, but you have to see, Pauline, if that in that man's flexibility. I mean, he's never done stuff like that, and so then we fall back again. Teach me how to love you. So we go back to that area, and so and it's a give and take in the deal. Unless
it is.
Unless you always say, hey, look, don't make no plans for these dates. I got a surprise. Boom. Then you already have the tickets booked. Then y'all up and go. Surprise.
Right.
So you just go into
and I
that
agree with you.
relationship
I agree
with
with you wholeheartedly. This person wasn't up to the task. Okay, this person wasn't up to the task. So I hurried up and gathered that information, and I moved on. Look, Gunner G, he's cracking up. He's over there laughing. I'm serious.
But you're right. It's if you ever get to the place where you're looking at someone to be your joy, to be your sense of adventure, to be your financial freedom, to be your peace, no human being has the ability to carry that. And the only way that you can travel and live in that state is that you're willing to give up a whole lot. And that's not really living. God didn't choose us before the foundation of the world for us to live a life where we are not a reflection of who we are or of who he has made us to be outwardly. So if you're ever looking at that person and saying, wow, I can really start to live now. No, you have to get so used to finding the happiness in your now, despite, oftentimes people talk about life being filled with these highs and lows. I kind of disagree with that mindset. Good and bad exist at the same exact time. You could think of the most horrific thing going on in your life, and at that same exact time, you have about at bare minimum, 10 to 20 absolutely mind-blowing, amazing things going on in your life. Something simple as there's running water inside your house. You can wake up in the morning and hit a light switch, because there are millions of people that don't have a bathroom inside their house, that don't have running water inside their house, that on the average, this outside of America mindset, they live, $3 a day? Anywhere from $1 to $3 a day, where we could reach in our pocket and pull a handful of dollars. So when we think about how we're loving people and how we're meeting people, the problem that we stumble with is when we think that our world is the world, that our world, the way we see the world, is the world. Because if you had to guess how many people in the world actually own a car, percentage-wise, if you had to guess how many people, there's 8 billion people on the planet, how many people, percentage-wise, you think own a car? Take a guess.
78%.
I don't know, maybe
78%. Go ahead.
38.
38%. What do you think?
60.
60%. Go ahead. Lise?
39.
39.
I would say
Oh, this is like
75.
the Price is Right. She leaned in like the Price is Right. 39. $1. Right? $1. She's like one. Ding, 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 ding. The average, on average, anywhere between 8. Listen to this. Only 8 to 16% of the world own a vehicle.
Wow.
And that's so true. You can look Google it.
Wow.
Only some figures say 8%,
Wow.
and some figures percent is
Mhm.
16%, but no higher than 16%.
Wow.
But the world we live in, some
Okay,
people got
we're
2
blessed.
cars, if not 3 cars.
Yeah,
So
we're
we
blessed.
think that our
Mhm.
world is the world. So when we go through a rough patch, we make that rough patch our world. It's
Yep.
shattered. We ignore all the abundance that God has already provided and continues to provide, because that right there is a decision you are making. Like Felix talked about, you can't stop yourself from being triggered by something. You can't stop yourself, but how long you think about that and how the decisions you make after you're triggered is all on you.
But
It's
also,
completely on you.
while you're learning to love yourself, others stop loving you. Others meaning people that are close to you, because you're like, you have to cut them off for a period of time, or you have to,
Yes.
right? And not only people, other people, but your kids, your brothers, your
I agree.
you, you have to almost like put yourself in a cocoon to make sure that you're stable.
Mhm.
To make sure, because you first of all, you allow
Yes.
them
Yeah.
to and do everything off of you. So now you're just like a skeleton bone. Now you need to put that meat back on your bones
Mhm.
and get your flesh together and allow God to say, this is what I created. This is what I created in you. This is what I put for you to do.
Mhm.
This is what I want you to go out and do. This is everything. Everybody thought I was crazy. Remember, Carlene, when I moved to Texas, I left Kansas City. I thought I
I
was
remember.
Mr. Kansas City. And if I'd stay there, I was gonna go crazy because I'm looking at everybody. I'm still looking at the same people. I'm
Yes.
going through a divorce. I'm at work. I got a great job, but I'm not doing it. And I'm sitting there thinking about
Right.
what I can do to get my family back together. And God said, no, I got something better for you. And I'm like, no, God, I don't know what you're talking about. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you have to go back and allow him to just, and allow her. I say her because
Yes.
spirit of God is in her, because I believe that a spirit of a woman is one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. The spirit, so she has to be in within me. I have male and feminine. So now I have to let go of this hardness. That when I grew up in Rosedale over there by KU, I have to let go of this hardness.
Mhm.
And I gotta let go, and I gotta be vulnerable, and I gotta say, I need encouragement.
Mhm.
I need respectful encouragement.
Mhm.
But it can't come from a man. I said that to myself. It's got to come from a woman. Because I'll listen. You see what I'm saying? I'll listen if it comes from a woman. And so us men, we have a different form of love. We have a respectful form of love which came from God, even through Adam and Eve. And God blessed us to be able to walk the earth and come through the Garden of Eden, he said, I give you certain instruction. And then when he played Eve with us, and they did what they did, and the tree of good and evil and the whole nine, he still came to the man, which is Adam, which is me, basically, because I am the lineage of God. And he said, and he basically said, Spirit,
Right.
did I give you instruction? And I said, yeah, but I had to throw the leaves down. All the leaves, I had to throw them down. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I put this woman here for you, and you're just doing all kind of whatever you want. We have to go back. Like, for example, if there's anybody look at social media where these young ladies say on the first date, these young men got to pay for their rent, or they got to pay for the oyster and the steak, and they got to do stuff for them on the first day in order to be with them.
I see
Because of
that. I see
pride,
that. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have made it. There's no way on earth that I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have done it because I'm too blunt. I am way too blunt. When I was younger, Ruby Faye, which is my mother,
Yeah.
told me, she said, "Young, you're blessed." She said, do not go out there and create babies. Do not go out there and this. And she actually gave me a box of prophylactics that said, please don't bring no babies in this house. Get you an education. And at first I didn't truly understand that. But I knew that I had something. I knew I had that it factor. But I didn't truly understand what love was. And that conversation was love, because I don't have a lot of babies out there. I only got 2 boys, and I love them to the moon and back, but sometimes I wonder if they love me. When you have kids, I mean, sometimes you wonder what comes out of their mouth, what they thinking, and do they love you? You know what I mean? And it's how we, that was kind of off the beaten path, but how are we teaching our young ones about this topic, about love? Because it has ventured off to Generation X. How are we teaching them? And I know they're not, that particular demographic, that age group is not watching this podcast, but they need to know something about love. Women love, and men love respect. If the women have listened to anything that we have said, there's a lot of respect words that have been thrown out there. Whereas you all love, you just love because you love us. And Lisa is saying, well, I want to be able to connect with this man. If the chip was just put in the back of your head, and when you saw him, that beat went off like, and you knew that was him. And then y'all connected, but then say one of you passed away, that chip would just back off. And then if there was somebody else that you met, the chip would it would go off and just be strong. That would be a blessing, to be honest with you. Because in this love field that we're looking for love, and we say God is love, God is love. But we want a relationship with somebody else. It's not easy. This is not easy. Even when you get with that person that you love, say you check 6 things out of 10 off on the list. You even think to the back of your mind, like, maybe I should have waited for 8 checks out of 10. You follow what I'm saying? Anybody follow what I'm saying? Even though that's probably
I follow what you're saying. Yeah.
The person you need to be with.
Okay, I got a comment.
Keep talking. So I'm gonna be quiet.
Well,
I got a comment. As good spirit, I definitely appreciate that. Just during this life, God always plant people along the path as we're going through our journey. He's always, if you look down the corridors of life, you'll see where God has planted people just for that season. And I always tell people, I come into people's lives for a season of a lifetime. I would like it to be a lifetime, but it doesn't always pan out that way. That's okay. And that's okay. But one thing I will share that, that being a divorcee, that for one, that was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. I lost both my parents. I lost 3 brothers in 2 years. I've been around a lot of death. Best friend, lost him to suicide. I've been around, but that divorce for me was the most painful thing I've ever experienced as a man. But but I can just share that God has a purpose for the pain. Since then, I've been able to mentor two guys that walked along that same path. And so it's just very encouraging to know that when you're going through it, that somebody that you're connected to somebody that's been there that can help you navigate. So it kind of eases the pain, but it doesn't take everything away, because now you have that experience, and so now
Yes.
then it turns on. But love, that's the key. Love is the key. Agape.
Well, I guess I had some agape love for myself, because one thing that I've learned
Yes.
is after the divorce, I had to get to know who Lisa Marie Griffin is. And I've been spending all these last 10 years for sure, getting to know what I like. I never knew that I like hanging pictures one on top of the other.
Right.
I didn't know that about myself. So in this time, I've been getting to know me. I've been working on my credit score. When I left my marriage, my credit score was 495. It's at 785 now. Yes. Something to be happy about. I work on my weight. I have my own business now. I show myself self-love. I take myself to the movies, to the dinner, 2 and 3 times trips out the country. So since I love me so much, my cup is just running over to someone else now, providing that he's in position to receive me.
Right. Yeah.
Amen. Have you guys? Are you
Right.
open to hear a
Right.
different definition of love?
Oh yeah.
How about this?
Yeah.
How about
Always.
that we're not actually looking for love? I'll work off of what Spirit said. God is love, right? And as born again believers, we got that God in Christ in us. So doesn't that already make us love? Just hear me out for this part, right? So if we are already love, are we actually looking for love? Because it's not that we're looking for love or to hope to find love. We're just simply looking for an opportunity to display the love that we already are.
Correct.
See, when you
There
talked
you
about
go.
your cup
There you go.
overflowing, when you talked about that cup overflowing, you notice that it didn't talk about tilting that cup. It's talked about overflow, right? There's no tilting to that cup. What's in that cup is for you. What comes overflowing is over there. Is no tilt to that cup. So in actuality, you all were saying this. I am just looking for the opportunity to display, to reveal, and to show the love that I already have inside me to someone else, and to set up an environment where someone could do the same freely do the same
Yes.
without judgment.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they are the
That's
way
exact.
they are based on what they've been through, just like I am. Meaning that there's things about me that I don't even know that I show up ugly in. I don't even know that I show up
Right.
ugly in those situations. But
Yeah.
that doesn't make my whole life ugly because I show up in those particular situations in a poor manner. The question is now, when you're working and having a relationship, going back to that respect thing, is that you're allowing the person to show up exactly how they are, and you're not trying to take their head off, because the way that they are has nothing to do with you. So when you get harped on thinking about, well, you need to respect me, no, you really don't. Right? Because a person's been through what they've been through. They don't know that it's disrespectful. They only know that this is what they feel, and based on what they've been through, this is how they're making sure that it doesn't happen again, right? So because sometimes you wound somebody by making sure that a poor treatment doesn't happen to you, but the person or the way you treated that person in that moment was more than they deserved. Right? Think about it. Like, I didn't deserve that heat that you just brought to me, because I wasn't around for all those things you've been through. I wasn't around. I only know you for 3 months. I ain't no way you should be that angry at me.
As if you had something to do with it, right?
Right, because I had nothing to do with it. So even though my mannerisms remind you of that past thing, all you could do is just remind me, like, hey, that doesn't rock with me. That doesn't go well with me. And you can leave it just like that. Now, if you find out that's the way you deal with things on a regular, then you have to make a decision. Do I want to be in this situation or not? But for the most part, let people be.
Yeah.
Let them show up the way they show up because they're doing it for you. They're absolutely doing it for you.
Yeah, healing
So
has
if,
to take place too.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Healing. Because
oh yeah,
if you're not
Yeah.
healed in
Yeah.
that
Healing
area, if you're
definitely has to
holding
take place.
bitterness and unforgiveness in your heart, whoever you're with, they're going to pay for what somebody else did. And it is so unfair.
he
Time.
he like
Exactly.
I didn't like
Yeah.
wait, I
Yeah.
didn't deserve that. But you
Yeah.
gotta let people
Exactly.
do it.
Exactly.
You
But
know,
see,
when you
that's
talk
why
about, go ahead.
I was going to say that's why you have to know who you are, and then you decide what you allow into your life.
That's right.
You're the only one that can decide that. Okay. If things keep showing up and you see where this person isn't healed from things, you can try to help them with that. I said try. They would have to allow you to help them and listen. But if you see that they're not allowing you and they keep going off on these different tangents, then you have to make a decision. Is this something that you're going to live with and allow? Or is this something you're not going to allow? Because you have a
Right.
right to say, what offends you, and how you feel about certain things. They may not like, what you say, but then that's okay. And it's
Yeah,
okay to
I like to say
disagree. And if
people
you
need
have
to
to part
consider me.
ways, it's okay to do that too. Because life should be enjoyed. Yes, life has to be enjoyed. Because I could say something to Gunter and he goes, Carlene, wait, that offended me. Then I have
You know that's not
to
happening.
truly listen to what he's saying. And after I hear what he's saying, I'm going to do one or two things. I'm going to acknowledge what he says and then apologize.
Oh, I can't move the TV.
Can't hear you.
There we go.
Okay.
And respond accordingly.
We couldn't hear you.
Say
Okay,
something.
everybody can. Okay.
I think she.
Your screen was frozen.
I was saying I would hope we would listen to each other and respond accordingly.
Right.
Yeah.
And Carlene, I would like to kind of circle back on something that Gunther was talking about. In dealing with a life coach over the last couple of years, and from the divorce, which was 20 plus years ago, I have gone through therapists, not just because of the divorce, but it was also due to the family, the whole 9 yards. And one of the things is this life coach just pointed out to me. What brings me joy is when I'm doing things for other people, whether they're children, whether they're strangers, whoever, it brings me joy. And what I did is that once I accepted that about myself, I could start knocking those people out of the way that did not
Screen
respect
froze.
or appreciate what I was doing. As Felix talked about, there's a time, a season, and a reason, and we need to purge sometime and remove some of those people out of the way because they're keeping you from getting to wherever you're trying to go. So I love me. I love giving love. Like you said, if we're truly believers and Christ has taught us love and given us love, we have nothing but love to give out.
Right.
So as I go out to, I don't go seeking anybody to date. People usually seek me because that's, I'm from the old school. You're supposed to wait on them. And so I'm trying to wait. It was getting a little lonely there for a minute. But anyway, but I love me. So just like Lisa said, I can take myself out to dinner, to the movies. I'm good. I have never met a stranger. I can talk to a brick wall. So I just keep on trying to love myself every day. And I just don't put my standards on other people because
Right.
they'll get there when I need them to. They'll be there when I need them to be truly, but not, anytime sooner. So I just think that is so true that God has given us love. We already are love. So we should be spreading this around. It should be second nature to us. So that's it.
Mm.
One
child.
quick
Okay,
comment.
guys.
I
You know
got one
what?
quick comment.
Okay.
I think she's
Oh.
lost track of time. Okay.
And we just talked about listening.
No,
We
go
just
ahead.
talked
Go ahead.
about listening. And so the question is, when we're listening, are we listening to hear or are we listening to respond? Because if we're listening to respond, then we're gonna miss the whole dialogue. You're gonna miss everything because only thing that's in your mind is how you're gonna rebut against what is said versus listening to hear.
Right.
Okay, guys,
Okay.
look, wrap up. I really enjoyed this. We all might have to come for a part 2 because there's so much on this particular subject that we need to talk about, we share and help somebody. So I'm probably contacting you guys for a part 2. Usually I like to keep you on an hour, but we're at an hour and a half and we're still going and we'll have more. We still have more. So I love you guys. Thank you for jumping in on the podcast. And we're going to do a part 2. We're going to do a part 2. Look, my producer is texting me. Yes, we're going to do a part
Pleasure
2.
to meet
I'll have to
everybody.
get the date and I'll let everybody know so we can jump in on this part. Yes. Now she's gonna take us out. My music, Electro. But thank you guys so much. I love conversation. I love the interaction. And this
Thank
is
you
gonna
for having
post on
us.
YouTube.
You're welcome.
So
Thank
anybody
you.
that you want, I'll most definitely. If you go to Serenity Podcast on YouTube, you'll be able to see the replay, and anybody that wants to watch it can watch it. And then I'll contact each of you guys individually, and we'll go into part 2.
All right.
That sound good? Okay, guys. Thank
Yes.
you. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Welcome to Serenity, where we keep it